I think it's probably the most important topic is making sure you're in a place where you're ready to date. And whether that's from coming out of a marriage, a long-term relationship, you just got back off a 3-year deployment, whatever the situation is. If you've been out of dating for a while, then making sure that you're actually ready to go date is probably the most important thing that you need to do. And the thing is that no matter what your situation was, let's say that you just came out of a marriage. No matter what the situation, everybody bears some responsibility, and
Right.
everybody has things that they need to change and they need to work on, things that they did wrong. And if you don't take the time to figure out what that is for you, you're going to carry that into whatever the next relationship is, right? So you could turn around and have some of the same problems you've had before if you don't do the work on yourself. And this is about uh, putting forth the best version of yourself and figuring out what that
Course.
is too. Carl
Yeah.
Jung said that until you make the subconscious conscious, it will dictate your life and you will call it fate. And I think that the limiting beliefs and the stories we tell ourselves and the subconscious things the ideas that we hold, we have to, in our last episode, we talked about self awareness. And I think that seeking self awareness is the thing that allows you to discover what your character flaws are, right? And so we can't control what other people do, how other people act. We can't control society, but we can control our attitudes and our mindset and how we look at things. And being able to go through, all the stuff that you've dealt with in your life and continue to get better at the way you deal with things, continue to add skills that help you deal with the difficulties of life and relationships. We all should be growing and moving forward, right? And a lot of that includes working on ourselves and making sure that we've gotten rid of as much of the baggage that we can.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to date we all have an acceptable range of people, right? And within that, the way you categorize people or place people in that range is their overall value, as their intellect, their personality, their humor, their appearance, their attractiveness, all of that. And so we all have these range of people. But if you want to find somebody in the higher end of your range, if you want to find the best person you can to be your partner, then you have to be the best version of yourself to attract that in the first place, right? That only makes sense to
Where?
me. If you find yourself in the same types of relationships over and over and the same patterns, right, then you have to stop and kind of assess, what is it that I'm looking for? What is it that I'm doing? What do I need to change about my outlook or my process? Or, for me, I realized at some point recently that I tend to be attracted to emotionally unavailable women, and it was something that dawned on me as I was dealing with one. And I think it came down to a couple of things. I think one was I have been with women like that in the past. So I had some subconscious need to replace that relationship or maybe seek
Okay.
that out because
Yeah.
it was something I was used to.
Yeah.
And then the other thing was that I think that maybe somewhere deep down, a part of me enjoyed the challenge of wondering, it's a challenge. It's a tough nut to crack. Can I
Can
break
fix them.
through the wall?
Yeah.
Can I make this woman open up to me?
Yep.
And again, it was subconscious because I wasn't looking to add more difficulty to my dating life than I needed to. But me stopping and really paying attention to the kind of women I was dating, made me realize that we have to get rid of this 50-50 mentality because anytime that you need a whole person to come together with another whole person to have a relationship. You
Right.
can't have a 50-50 or a 70-30. You need two whole people. So
Yeah.
if you're looking for somebody else to fill a void in your life, to fill a hole, to complete you, to add this missing piece to your life, you can want companionship and want a partner and say that is a missing piece,
Right.
right? But you have to have a whole life underneath that.
Yeah.
I don't want to be 2/3 of a person and depend on this other person to make me complete. I don't want to have to seek validation or completion through another person. You need to make your life complete and validate yourself and be happy and secure in who you are. And then you're able to go into a relationship and meet another person who's in the same situation, and you guys can have a relationship together that works, right? There's no codependency. There's no leaning on the other person to fill the parts of you that you haven't figured out how to fill.
For sure.
It's two whole people. You have to be a whole, healed, complete person before you can really have a true meaningful relationship. The more
Yeah,
time that you spend in your life where you're not ready for a relationship, where you're not building the life that you want, where you're not fixing the issues that need to be fixed, that's that much more of your life where you're not ready to meet the person, where you're not ready to receive whatever is out there for you. So, I guess the point of that is that the sooner you start working on yourself and the sooner you start fixing these issues, then the sooner you'll be ready to move on to the next thing. Because if you move on to the next thing before it's time, before you're ready, you're doomed from the start. I mean,
exactly.
it's if you're carrying all these patterns and all these tapes that you're playing in your head from old relationships, or a lot of us have been through something horrible. We've been terribly mistreated by the opposite sex, and it's so easy for so many people to internalize that and then just apply that to all men or all women, and then they get bitter. And who is that helping? Because all the other men out there in the world were not the one that did what your ex-husband or your ex-wife. So don't bleed on the people who didn't cut you.
That's so important.
It is, and that's just one of those things. And I have to think back because I have come so far in dealing with the resentment and the vindictiveness that I initially felt towards my ex-wife for some of the stuff that went on. And I have to stop and remember that a lot of people are still dealing with that. It's been 6, 7 years for me, and I've had time to work through a lot of that. But
Yeah,
I would not, if I were still working through some of that, I certainly would not be ready to date. And that is one of the prime reasons why I started dating and then I stopped for a whole year because I realized I had things I needed to work on. One of the most important things in dating is confidence, and that is in confident in doesn't mean being arrogant. It doesn't mean being an ass. It just means that you have a certain level of confidence. You have a certain level of belief in your ability to handle situations, right?
yeah,
You have a certain level of ability and of faith in who you are as a person. And if you don't have that, then that's where you get the needy, the thirsty behavior. But you have to have a life that allows you to be confident in your life.
for
So
sure.
if you've got all these things, all these detractors or these problems or these issues that stop you from being confident, you have to go fix that stuff so you can build the confidence, because you need that in dating, you need that in every aspect of life, right? And so if you don't know who you are as a person and don't know where you fit in the world, I don't see how you think you can go out and find somebody who's a great match for you and that you have an actual chance of inviting them into your world and bringing them into your world, because you can't even define your world. You don't even know what you're going for or what you're doing or what. So much of what goes wrong in dating, I think, is a lot of something you just said made me think of this, that they go out and want to date out of boredom, out of loneliness, out of distraction,
Sure.
out of wanting to validate themselves. And if you're going to date for any of those reasons, you're putting responsibilities on the other person that don't belong with them, that they don't deserve to bear. Right? Um,
Yeah,
those are the wrong reasons to go out and date. And it's no different, I don't think, than going to get a bottle of liquor or a bottle of wine or whatever the thing is, a gallon of ice cream, to distract you from, people drink and eat ice cream all the time to distract themselves from the problems in their life or the things that they're unhappy about.
well, yeah,
And dating can be the same way, because let's face it, regardless of where it goes, if you make a connection with some person and you can get to the point where you can even having a conversation, but going and meeting somebody for a date, it can be exciting. It can be fun. It can make you feel better.
sure.
So
Yeah,
just like drinking a bottle of wine or whatever. So if that's what you're doing it for, but that's not going to go anywhere. And you have to keep in mind too that you're involving other people in your drama. If you're not ready to date, just like the woman who told me she was dead inside, why are you wasting my time and my money?
yeah,
I don't deserve to go out to spend my time and effort and money to take a woman out who says she's dead inside, and stay the hell home and stay off the dating app.
yeah.
Is a huge trap. Be very careful not to fall into that, and because it does come across very much. If I talk to somebody or meet a woman on a date or even in messaging, and she talks a lot about her ex, it tells me she's probably not done the healing. She's probably
Of
not
course.
finished.
Hmm.
It's easy. It's so easy to spot. So the point is not to don't mention this. The point is be in a place where you don't need or think about mentioning that anyway.
Sure.
The point is build the kind of life that you want, regardless of whether there's somebody else in it, and build the kind of life that the person you're looking for would want to come be a part of your life.